Many Kenyans were surprised the other day when Mzee Francis Caesar Atwoli was re-elected as the Secretary General of COTU, that is the Central Organization of Trade Unions of Kenya, the umbrella body that represents employees and workers within the Republic of Kenya. Personally, I was extremely surprised because we had it at the back of our minds that Mzee Francis Caesar Atwoli was going to be ejected and not re-elected as the SG of COTU after having served more than 20 years for a very, very long time as the Workers' Union Body's SG. What surprised me further is that the same Kenyans who keep complaining that their rights as workers, their rights as employees are not being looked into properly are the very same people who at the same time re-elect a man who has overseen the demonization of the Central Organization of Trade Union, a body that is supposed to be agitating and working hard for their rights, electing the same old man to the same old position, doing the same thing over and over, but expecting different results. This act really surprised many Kenyans. And we say unto Kenyans, someone who digs a grave cannot cry foul when they find themselves at the bottom of that grave that they are digging. It is a problem that you've brought upon yourselves and a problem that you will have to bear for the next number of years, that Mzee Francis Caesar Atwoli will be in power as the overall boss of the Central Organization of Trade Unions of Kenya. It is worth noting that Francis Caesar Atwoli has been COTU Secretary General for more than 20 years. Actually, Mzee Francis Atwoli was there when Kenya was being made Kenya from the British colonialists. He is somebody, as you've always said, he's worked with so many leaders. He worked under Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. This is something that he said himself. He worked under Mzee Daniel Arap Moi. He worked under Mzee Mwai Kibaki. He worked under Mzee Uhuru Kenyatta. Now he's working under the leadership of Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Surely, good people, surely, if this is the same trend that you're going to maintain, how are we going to change COTU to meet the demands of the day-to-day needs that we have in the year 2026 to meet the demands of modern-day employees within the Republic of Kenya? But many Kenyans, I will agree, we also feel that under his leadership, COTU has miserably failed to help workers and employees within the Republic of Kenya. Maybe one day, before he departs from this world, Mzee Francis Caesar Atwoli will share with Kenyans why he even has the name Caesar Atwoli, yet we all know, we can all associate ourselves the name Caesar and the kind of atrocities that Caesar did when he was the Roman emperor. Why adopt the name Caesar Atwoli? Could he be a replication of what Caesar used to do to the Jews or to the areas where they rule over? Perhaps there's a correlation between Francis Atwoli's behavior and the plight of miserable Kenyan workers that we're witnessing today. Good people, many Kenyans, you'll agree with me, and most of you will agree with me, many Kenyans, especially the youth, mid-level college and university graduates, as we speak today, cannot find decent jobs. Many Kenyan workers are still underpaid or even overworked, and some are treated very unfairly. You only need to go to industrial areas, various industrial areas in Kenya, be it in Nairobi, be it in Mombasa, be it in Kisumu, be it in Kakamega, and see how Kenyan workers are being treated very unfairly. We have situations whereby Indians import very unqualified Indians from India to bring them to Kenya, to be taught how to work with the same Kenyans, and thereafter looked down upon by the same Kenyans who taught them how to work, and then be paid 6 times, 7 times, 10 times better than the Kenyan workers, besides being given certain amenities that the Kenyan workers who are very qualified cannot be given. These are facts. These are facts, that realities that we cannot escape from. And they're happening right under the nose and watch of Mzee Francis Caesar Atwoli. What annoys more people is that people with university degrees, clean university degrees, cannot find jobs that match their education. And COTU has done very little under the leadership of Mzee Francis Atwoli to stop this. Millions work in informal jobs without contracts, without benefits, and COTU, as usual, under the leadership of Mzee Francis Atwoli, has not done anything to help them. The cost of living keeps going up. But as the cost of living keeps going up, there's no day that the cost of living will go down. The cost of living keeps going up. But then, as Kenyan workers, as Kenyan employees in various organizations, are we seeing the wages matching the cost of living that is going up? Which organization that represents the welfare of workers within Kenya is supposed to be the first one to be agitating for wages to go up to match the cost of living that we're experiencing every single year? Young workers have little to say when it comes to union decisions, because Mzee Francis Caesar Atwoli has surrounded himself with a cocoon of old, tired men and women who have zero ideas, zero knowledge on what affects the young Kenyan workers of today. They bring in zero ideas, they bring in zero solutions to issues that affect the young workers of Kenya today. This is why we are saying that COTU is not strong enough to speak up for the Kenyan worker. And if COTU is not strong enough, that rot begins from the head. And who is the head of COTU as we speak? None other than Mzee Francis Caesar Atwoli. And yes, many Kenyans feel that the leaders do not even understand that the struggles that ordinary Kenyans are going through. Fellow Kenyans, employees in Kenya face a number of challenges. There is the unemployment crisis, and under Francis Atwoli's leadership, COTU has not driven strong policies in various partnerships, or even with partnerships, to create jobs, to ease school to work transition. This is something that has left many Kenyans unemployed and in very, very demeaning work environments. Under Mzee Francis Atwoli, worker exploitation is the order of the day. COTU has been very, COTU is seen as very ineffective when it comes to curbing employer abuses. When you talk of employer abuses, we're talking of issues such as low wages, issues such as delayed pay, issues such as unsafe work conditions, issues such as unfair dismissals, which are very rampant in many organizations where Kenyans wake up today, at midday, you are dismissed. The very flimsy reasons, issues to do with weak enforcement of labor protection laws. Who is supposed to be taking care of these issues if not COTU? And what is rotten within COTU if not the person of Mzee Francis Caesar Atwoli? Under his leadership still, there is the aspect of ignored qualifications, where the union has not strongly challenged unfair hiring practices. When we talk of unfair hiring practices, we are talking of issues such as nepotism and favoritism. These are issues which sideline qualified graduates with very good, proper qualifications, despite their academic investment. All this is happening as Mzee Francis Atwoli is watching and enjoying. Under Mzee Francis Atwoli's leadership, we have seen the neglect of the informal sector. COTU has made very limited progress in organizing and protecting informal workers within Kenya. The informal workers remain without contracts, they remain without social security, or even without meaningful representation in the areas where they work. Under Mzee Francis Atwoli, Kenyans have witnessed the ever-rising cost of living. Good people, there has been insufficient pressure from COTU, and COTU is the one that is supposed to be championing this. there has been insufficient pressure from COTU to secure wages or policy interventions that match the rising cost of basic needs. Again, I repeat, all this is happening under the watch of Mzee Francis Atwoli as he and his wife enjoy, while the rest of the Kenyan workers and employees suffer, while deductions are being made for purposes of lining their pockets, of lining the pockets of COTU, while nothing meaningful is being done. We have youth exclusion, ladies and gents. Leadership under Atwoli has not adequately opened spaces for youth participation within COTU. This, in turn, leaves many young workers not only underrepresented in decision-making structures, but whose ideas are not being taken into consideration when it comes to making decisions that affect the day-to-day running of COTU, which in effect translates to the general welfare of the Kenyan people. Then we have weak advocacy. COTU's engagement with the government and rogue employers, and in this particular case I'm saying rogue employers, is often viewed as passive, failing to consistently push for their recruitment, failing to consistently push for better pay, failing to consistently ensure safe work environments for the Kenyan employees. Under Mzee Francis Caesar Atwoli, Kenyans have consistently witnessed the disconnect from reality. Why? Because Mzee Francis Atwoli and his cocoon, his cohort, are living in ivory towers, enjoying pork and fried chicken. The leadership in COTU is perceived as very detached from the everyday struggles of workers, which in turn weakens the trust in COTU's ability to represent and defend their interest. Ladies and gentlemen, why are we saying that Atwoli must go? Atwoli has been in charge for too long without real results. Where we are today, Kenya needs fresh leaders with new ideas and new energy. Kenyan workers still face unemployment. Kenyan workers still face low pay and very bad working conditions. Should we say Atwoli must stay? That is why we are saying Atwoli must go. Many Kenyan workers, many Kenyans no longer trust COTU. Francis Caesar Atwoli's ties with politicians and rogue employers have made this union weaker day by day. And it is clear that after many years of failure, one word remains: Francis Atwoli must go. It is time for a union that truly fights for Kenyan workers.